Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this marketing guide, you're going to learn what the heck content marketing is and how you can use it to attract your ideal customer. So timestamp table of contents in the description, along with a link to copy our own content calendar and planner. It's the one we actually use to plan out all the content for our clients, as well as this channel. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in and kick things off with what the heck content marketing is. Because content marketing is one of those marketing strategies that seems to have a lot of different definitions, and at the end of the day, there's only one that's going to allow you to create content that will consistently bring in leads on autopilot. So this is going to be our definition as we dive into the 3 steps. Content marketing is the strategic process of creating media to engage prospects, educate potential customers, position you as an authority, and seed the value of your products and services. So let's go ahead and break this definition down a little bit more, and then we'll get into step number 1. So specifically, how does this answer what the heck content marketing actually is? All content marketing is media that grabs the attention of potential customers. Sorry, I'm talking over myself a little bit here. So when we say media, this can be anything from a Facebook or Instagram post all the way to a 2,000 word blog post or a YouTube video just like this one. The key is that we're creating something that's going to attract our ideal customer. It's not at all connected to what our product, service, or even company is. So as long as we know something that's going to grab the attention of our ideal customer, that can be content that we create. Now, when we go through step number 2 and talk about promotion in step number 3, you'll actually see that there's only 3 different platforms you really should be considering. So we'll get into how the platforms look and what type of media you should be creating and the type of content and all that fun stuff later. But for now, just know that we're creating either some sort of written, video, or audio form of media that's going to engage and attract our ideal customer. And that's really it. So we'll get a lot more concrete as we go through. So now that we know what content actually is, we need to take a step back and look at who we're creating the content for. Because after all, content that tries to speak to everyone winds up connecting with no one. You don't want to make a piece of content that's appealing to teenagers when you're trying to sell to, business, doing some business to business deal, right? And vice versa. So we have to make sure that we understand who we're trying to engage and grab the attention of with our content. And of course, this is going to come down to customer insights. And the best way to do this is to go through a rapid fire exercise of identifying results, roadblocks, benefits, and problems. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I want you to think of one of your products or services. You can go ahead and do this exercise over and over again for all your different products and services. Here, it's important that you just choose one to make sure your content plan and promotion strategy is focused. So in this particular instance, let's say we're looking at a product. You want to identify the 3 to 4 big problems your product solves for your ideal customer. That is, what does your product allow your ideal customer to overcome, and what results do they get to enjoy as a result of going through your product or service? And so you want to identify those 3 to 4, because then you're going to want to start to backtrack, because what we want to do with our content is also solve problems, but obviously we can't solve the same problems that our product or service solves, right? So we want to think of what problems does someone who needs your product have before they get ready to have your product, or if they have problem A, which is what your product solves, maybe they have problem B, C, and D, and they're kind of related, but your product or service doesn't solve those. So you want to really start thinking about your content in terms of solving problems and helping them overcome roadblocks to achieving what they ultimately want. This is how you're going to make sure that your content actually builds rapport and begins seeding you as a valuable person, and it's a much better position to be in when your sales process actually starts. So following along with our diagram here, if we have our product in the middle, the longer the line between the product and the prospect, the more content that potential customer would need in order to finally see the value in your product or service. Now, something else that's really important to make a decision on right here and now is how experienced your ideal customer is. Are they someone who's brand new to your industry, or are they someone who's an expert or veteran? Because that's going to make a huge difference in the type of content you create, right? Because the last thing you want to do is make a how-to post, right? And be talking about some advanced strategies or using a lot of industry terms when you're trying to sell to someone who's completely new, right? We also want to make sure that the way we're writing and what we're talking about is relevant to whoever we're trying to sell to. So this is just a quick little overview. You can look at it as someone who's brand new, less than a month, someone who's intermediate, maybe 3 to 6 months in, and then someone who might be considered a veteran, a year plus or more. You can obviously change these brackets based upon your niche or industry. It might not make sense to call intermediate people someone who's only been in your niche or industry 3 to 6 months. They might still be considered new. This is just going to be something that you get to decide. But here, let's go through a concrete example of actually starting to put together the pieces together of what we've talked about so far. So let's say we're going to be crafting some content for someone who's trying to grow a YouTube channel. Well, what results are they after? They want to grow their channel, make money, and probably quit their job. Well, what do they think is getting in the way of that? They probably think they don't have enough views, their growth is too slow, they need better video quality, and none of their videos rank. Okay, great. Well, when we are looking to create content for someone who's trying to grow their channel, obviously the type of content we would create for someone who's brand new the first month and only recorded 2 or 3 videos would be different than someone who's maybe 6 months down the road has 30 or 50 videos and someone who is a year plus that might have over 100 videos and is still frustrated. They could all have the same subscriber count, but the experience that they've had is different. So even though they're at the same place, the experience or what they've had in the past would change how you'd want to talk to them. So here's some examples of content that we could create. And then in the next step, I'm actually going to go through the 3 different types of content that you can actually just copy for yourself that work really well. So the first one we have here is someone who's brand new, right? They're less than a month in. We could just say how to rank your first YouTube video. Obviously, if someone's already posted a bunch of videos, that's not going to be relevant to them. They would look for something like this, which would be how to re-rank your fallen videos or improve your ranked videos. So someone who's brand new, those 2 types of headlines wouldn't be attractive to them because they're just posting their first or second video. And finally, we have how to use playlists to rank your videos and how to rank videos over 6 months old. And obviously, that last headline is only going to be attractive to someone who has been posting more than 6 months and has videos that are more than 6 months old. Now, I realize this is a very rudimentary, elementary example, but it does drive home the point that when you're creating content, thinking in the context of time and experience is really, really a powerful tool that's going to allow you to connect with your ideal customer or prospect in a way that's much better than what most of your competitors are probably doing, where they're just making how-to content and they're not really thinking about where along the journey their ideal customers are. So you're definitely going to have a leg up with your content. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into step number 2, which is your content strategy. Now, if you want to learn more about creating your ideal customer avatar, I'll link up in the cards in the description to a video that does a data deep dive into how to create that and goes through some other questions to create a complete profile. But those 2 questions and really thinking about problems and roadblocks is all you really need to move forward with your content strategy. So instead of going through all the different types of content we can create, I'm just going to give you the answer because that's the easy way, right? So these are the 3 types of content you should consider making to attract your ideal customer. And then we're going to go through how to add calls to action to make sure that this content actually drives forward the sales process as opposed to just being another YouTube video or blog post. So the first one we have is the most common, and that's the how-to. This video is a perfect example of that. Show potential customers exactly how to achieve what they want. This particular video and channel is all about how to do digital marketing on your own. Of course, in your niche or industry, you can make how-to content on other topics like how to come up with a diet plan, how to lose weight, how to achieve more in terms of your work, study harder, or get more done throughout the day. Whatever your niche or industry is, there is a plethora of how-to content ideas out there. We'll go through a tool to help you rapidly come up with some of them. Now, the second type is going to be great if you have any sort of physical products or you plan on doing some sort of affiliate marketing, and these are reviews, but there's an asterisk here. So stick around because there's an asterisk here, not just plain old review videos. The first thing we need to do is make sure we review products or services even if they're not directly related to our company. And this comes into the asterisk where you don't want to review direct competitors. So if you sell running shoes, Don't run around reviewing other running shoes. Review other running products, but as soon as someone finds out that, hey, I sell Nikes and I'm reviewing Adidas and Unbounce and Asics, well, they're going to just look at all of those reviews as completely biased if your online store only sells Nikes, right? So you want to make sure that you're reviewing other gear. In that particular instance, if you were some sort of running shop, you would be reviewing other running gear and doing other types of content that would be attractive to runners, but nothing where you seem to be reviewing a product that's a direct competitor to something that you are selling. Now, this final one is going to be the decision guide. This one can be a little hard, but it's also going to be the most powerful out of the three. And this is where you help your ideal customer weigh the pros and cons of a decision they have to make. So you talk about the different options. It's very important you talk about what they can do, not necessarily how to do it. So this isn't another how-to tutorial. An example of this on our channel is we do a comparison video every 6 to 9 months of sales funnel softwares. So not only do we do reviews of different sales funnel softwares, because we don't have our own sales funnel software to sell, so we just review them, we also do side-by-side comparisons, and we do decision guides based upon where someone is in their business. So in that particular instance, we'd make a video where we talk about, hey, if you're a beginner, you should try this. If you're intermediate, you should try this. If you're advanced, you should try this. Or we could go by niche or industry. If you are a personal trainer, you should try this software. If you are a coach or consultant, you should try this software. If you're e-commerce, you should try this software, right? So we want to make sure that with these decision guides, we are, again, thinking about where our ideal customer is and the different situations they might be in and how to make an informed decision based upon all the different options that they have. And each one of these is either designed to move someone forward in your sales process or build you up with authority and rapport. Now, something that's very important before we get into the calls to action is coming up with these different ideas, right? So you can go to a free tool called Answer the Public, and you can just type in how to, and then anything related to your niche or industry, and they're going to give you a ton of ideas for free that you can create how-to content around. SEMrush and BuzzSumo are also great if you're trying to figure out what type of decision guides or review videos you should do. Now, there is one more step we need to talk about with our content strategy before we get into what platform to use, promotion, and scheduling and all that fun stuff. By the way, make sure you check out that link in the description to the content calendar that we use, because as you come up with ideas, you want one place you can always go to store them, and the content calendar is definitely going to help you make sure that you stay organized with all of the ideas you're about to come up with. And once you have those ideas, it's time to think about the call to action. So this is what's going to ensure that your content moves the sales process forward. So there are a couple calls to action you can have with these pieces of content. You can direct people to a landing page where you collect their name and email at the end of it, or you could direct them to other pieces of content. So this diagram is most likely going to be representative of what your content strategy is, and it's simply because you don't want to have a direct call to action that links up to your sales process every single video, because then your audience is going to start becoming numb to it. So it's okay if you bounce your audience around a couple content pieces before they ultimately land on one where there's a direct call to action. Now, speaking of direct calls to action, you'll notice that twice in this video, I've actually referenced the link in the description to the free content calendar, along with a link to copy our own content calendar and planner. It's the one we actually use to plan out all the content for our clients, as well as this channel. And that's as complex as a call to action inside of your content needs to be. Obviously, if you don't have a landing page or you're just looking to book some sales calls, you can say simply something along the lines of, hey, and if you want to learn more about this process, or if you want some help, go ahead and click the link in the description or click here to book a free strategy call with me if you're a coach or consultant. And if you're doing any sort of reviews, you can include affiliate links or links to your own products or services in the description of those review videos as well. If you're doing video, obviously, if you're doing a blog post or a podcast, it would be a little different. Now, speaking of content platforms, that's going to be the first step of our last step in our process here, and that is your content promotion. Obviously, we've talked a lot about strategy and who you're going to be talking to with your ideal customer and the content, but but now where on earth should you put this content, right? Where should we be posting? And I get a lot of pushback on this next part, but there are really only 3 places you should be posting content, because at the end of the day, content takes a lot of time, and it's a lot of time to make videos like this one. So you want to make sure that it's going to continue to perform over time and become a autopilot asset, bringing in new subscribers, new audience members, new potential customers, as opposed to, I don't know, posting on Facebook and Instagram where 24 to 72 hours later, the post is pretty much dead. So you want to go to places where your posts get stronger over time, not weaker over time. And there are 3 big places you can do that. Number 1 is going to be here on YouTube, video. Number 2 is going to be podcasting. And number 3 is going to be a WordPress blog. It is very important you use WordPress for your blog. Don't use one of those popular page builders that are advertised every other day here on YouTube. Please use your own WordPress blog. I know it's a lot more headache to set up, but you need to actually own the content that you're creating, not building it on someone else's platform if you go the blogging route. But more on blogging and syndication in a moment. So obviously there are advantages and disadvantages to each one of these solutions. So there are going to be 2 ways to choose. Number 1, you could follow my advice, which is just do YouTube. Nobody is comfortable just sitting in front of in front of a camera in an empty room talking to themselves for an hour and then cutting it down to being a 15-minute video, right? Nobody comes out of the gate having that skill, and I'd argue after 600 plus videos, this is still a little awkward, right? But I think it is the most powerful opportunity we have as small business owners and entrepreneurs right now. Now, if you don't want to do video, because nobody's good at video, so we're not going to say like, oh yeah, I'm great at video right out of the gate, right? Nobody says that. So the other 2 options you have is podcasting and of course blogging. So I would recommend going with one of those 2 if you already know that you would enjoy it. So if you're one of those people who really enjoys writing, then go ahead and go with blog posts. If you're someone who really likes the idea of podcasting and you just don't want to be in front of the camera, but you really like talking and you do a really good job of describing things, then yeah, podcast might be the way to go. Obviously I'm biased, and I think YouTube is something that is just a tremendous opportunity, and it's something that we all need to get over. We're all going to have stage fright, so just get over it and turn on that camera. I'll link up in the cards in the description to a content marketing video for YouTube, along with a budget guide to really help you get started very quickly on this platform. Now, whatever platform you decide to choose, you want to post 3 times a week, and make sure you check out that content calendar in the description, because that's going to help make sure that you stay on track, because I recommend you post 3 times a week and plan out at least a month's worth of content in advance. Something that we do here with this YouTube channel is we actually plan out quarter by quarter. So when the quarter starts, we have at least 3 months worth of content ready to go. That is, we haven't recorded it, but we know what the videos are going to be about. And it takes a tremendous amount of stress out of the content marketing process when you don't have to come up with ideas every other week. So I definitely recommend clicking that link, use that content calendar to plan out ahead so you can be a lot more calm when you're going through your content marketing process. So you're going to be posting 3 times a week. Ideally, if you can't do 3 times a week, okay, then commit to 1 or 2. But ideally, if you want to take this seriously, it's going to take at least 3 times a week, and you want to have that month-long runway of ideas. So you never sit down to write a post or record a video or podcast and not have any idea what it's going to be about. And of course, at this point, you might be wondering, okay, that's great, I have my one platform, but what about all those others? There are plenty of influencers and businesses that seem to post 3 or 4 times per day, and they have content everywhere, and that's great, and we can all get there eventually. So what's really important is you want to focus on one platform that you personally become a master at, and then you can delegate the rest. If you don't have the budget to delegate, well, then you just focus on that one platform, and eventually, as that platform grows and as you begin to enjoy that snowball effect of your content, then you'll be able to start having the budget to begin to delegate the other platforms. So as an example, here's a quick chart that runs through how you can take a video, blog post, or podcast and easily transform it into a different medium or transform it for a different platform. So again, timestamp table of contents, so you can always come back to this diagram and pause. And here's a quick rundown of how much it would cost if you decided to delegate this per post. Now, obviously, a WordPress blog post is going to be the most expensive because this is going to be where someone's taking a transcript and they're turning it into a written post. And social media platforms like Pinterest, LinkedIn, and Instagram are not going to cost as much because there's not as much work involved turning a YouTube video or podcast or blog post into a quick post on one of those platforms. I did not include Facebook here simply because there is no organic reach on, well, no, there's hardly any organic reach on Facebook pages. So it's more like you're just gonna have to pay to play on Facebook, which means it's not really content marketing. It's more like content marketing and advertising that's blended into one, but we won't get into that. So these are the platforms I recommend starting with, and then these are the platforms I also recommend syndicating your content to. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more marketing videos and tutorials just like this one. Make sure you download that content calendar. It's going to save you a ton of time and headache when it comes to creating your own content marketing strategy. And until the next, keep building the business you love.